Peace and Islam. Welcome unto the Amexem-Moor-Empire, Moor's Internet Televideo Network, or M.I.T.N for short, which is a part of the Imperial Broadcasting Agency. For the record, today's date on the Amexem-Moor calendar is Peace Day, the 5th of Gu, the year 301-630. I am the Honorable Noble Tina Wadil, and I serve as the lead video broadcast agent, and I shall be a hostess for this broadcasting segment. It is my honor and my privilege to welcome back to our segment His Imperial Majesty and Anu El Bey. Welcome back, His Imperial Majesty, Islam.
Peace, overnight, Islam. Good to be here.
Islam, welcome back. So, this is segment 31, and it's a follow-up to our previous segment regarding silver prices and their impacts within the planet's markets, Islam. So with that, we're just going to get right into it. We would like your perspective, or the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Government's perspective on the silver prices and its impact, Islam.
Islam. All right. Article 6, Section 1, Clause 1 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution is where the medium of exchange for the Amexem-Moor-Empire is found: platinum, gold, and silver. As I said previously, I have spoken with the Imperial Council in your service about my intent to come before them on your behalf to potentially add copper as a medium of exchange for the Amexem-Moor-Empire. Part of that is because of the dramatic rise in the cost of silver globally. You have a finite amount of silver available. Silver, like other minerals, are in this soil, some from volcanic activity. You can't print silver, you can't print gold. And the gold and silver deposits that's close to the surface have been largely mined or are being mined now. If you want to get more, you have to dig deeper, and you got to basically go through 4 and 5 times the amount of rock to get to it. That's more machinery, that's more fuel for said machinery, that is more water. So there are environmental impacts, there are resource impacts that ripple out from this. So you have about 800 to 850 million ounces of silver that's generated per year. About 200 million of it is set aside for retail acquisition, regular folks going to buy it. The rest of it goes to industrial acquisition for all types of things: semiconductors, solar panels, computers, batteries for EVs, and for other electronics. As a consequence, don't forget the silver for silverware as well. All these things impact demand for silver. That's going to impact the international pricing of silver. That impacts us because we price everything within the Amexem-Moor-Empire in platinum, gold, and silver. Largely in silver because we collect more silver than anything else, to be honest. So, as a consequence of all these things, there are a lot of factors out there that also come to play regarding supply of silver and the cost of it as a result. The demographics of the planet are changing. The baby boomers, as some refer to them, are starting to, the eldest among them are starting to hit 80 Earth years on the planet. And with life expectancy between 78 and 80 to 81 Earth years, some of them are in the twilight of their lives. Some of them have offspring that are Gen X. The younger baby boomers, their offspring are the millennials. What did the millennials see? They saw a lot. The millennials saw the quote-unquote 9/11 scenario. They saw the crash of so-called 07 Roman calendar. They saw, as a result of that Great Recession or Depression, whatever folks want to call it, they saw their parents move in with their parents. So the offspring, those millennials, and maybe some of the Gen Xers too, they end up moving in with their grandparents, along with their parents. They saw their parents play by the quote-unquote rules and get burned. So the millennials, they have less than zero trust for anything, severe trust issues from what they have experienced, not what they heard, what they lived through. So you can't talk to them about trusting the markets in terms of stock markets for particular things, for retirement and for investment purposes. You can't talk to them about bonds and other evidences of debt. They're not trying to hear all that. So as these most elder baby boomers begin to transition, as they begin to become ancestors, they're going to be leaving their quote-unquote estates to their millennial offspring and to some of their Gen X offspring. What do you think they're going to do? They're either going to invest in real estate, or they're going to do what they would say would be the large swath approach. Some in real estate, and some's going to be in precious metals, not just gold. It'll be gold, silver, platinum. They're going to be investing in. Well, why is that? Because you can't sell a piece of your domicile just because you want to make an acquisition of something. As a rule, unless you got a multi-family structure. Effectively, gold and silver are easier to work with because you can just trade off an ounce of silver or trade off an ounce of gold to pay for things that you want to get. You can't print gold, you can't print silver. They're solid, they have intrinsic value, and folks can survive off that if they have diversified their retirement. The millennials are not going to be looking to keep things tied up in bonds because they know that if you're printing all this worthless paper because of your national debt in foreign jurisdictions across the planet, PBOC, the Federal Reserve, and the ECB are printing paper like crazy. That devalues, quote-unquote, devalues the worthless paper to begin with, which is ironic. Well, in all that occurring, what do you think is going to happen? The buying power of their maples, their pesos, their dollars, their euros is going to continue to go into the trash can. It's going to become less and less buying power. So anyone that's going to be sitting in bonds or corporate bonds and stocks is just sitting there looking to earn interest off of things in CDs. They're all begging for it. They're not going to do that. The wise among them are going to say, no, real estate, platinum, gold, and silver. Which means more demand on silver, which is already under immense strain. And you're going to see up for about the next 10 Earth years, this trend, about $4 trillion in worthless paper per year in inheritance, going to the millennials as the baby boomers begin to become ancestors. That's an inordinate amount of funds that's going to be looking to be invested. And a large chunk of it is going to be competing for silver. Well, why is that? If they're going to go for gold, it's going to cost them more of their inheritance. They can get far more ounces of silver as opposed to 1 ounce of gold. So they're going to play the odds. They're going to play the numbers. And they're going to go with the silver. That puts more pressure on the supply of silver, which impacts the buying power of our silver because it's going to go up, which means it's deflationary for us, not inflationary for us. However, it's going to be painful globally. It will impact what folks can generally spend to acquire the products that they get from us. So there's a line. Even we can't go but so far in terms of the rise of silver. Deflationary as it may be, it becomes too painful for those that don't use silver as a medium of exchange to actually acquire our products and services from the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction of venue businesses. Well, it does actually come back to bite us too. So it's a balance. It's a delicate balance that needs to be. So we're the only house of Moors that actually has to deal with this, because this organic nation, the 4 countries that comprise the Amexem-Moor-Empire, they all have to deal with Article 6, Section 1, Clause 1 of our Constitution. Platinum, gold, and silver are the only medium of exchange, and potentially added on copper. You must do business. You must set your pricing relevant unto international buying power, the spot price, if you would, or whatever is the realistic price. Because right now, at least with silver anyway, not the rest of them, with silver, the market price you see on the screen and the actual price that's being paid for when folks actually go to buy it have decoupled. Parts that can hold certain things down are saying silver right now is so-called 93 an ounce. They're paying 112 an ounce and 116 an ounce on the so-called street. And if you're one of those large corporations that need silver for the products that you're producing, these corporations are bidding 40, 50, 100, 140 over the spot price. The decoupling is already there, and it's just getting started, because this competition, these bidding wars, literally just started within the last 3 or 4 Earth days, 4 or 5 Earth days. Others are catching on and realizing it's a hard scramble. You're going to see the same thing happen with gold now, because now foreign venue banks are seeing gold once again as a strategic reserve. It's an asset. So banks are going to start, if they haven't already, gobbling up gold, which is going to accelerate the gold price rising even faster as a consequence. You're going to see a circumstance now where these banking houses were making a fortune off of shorting gold for every now and again. They're not going to do that anymore. The incentive has been taken away to short gold. They'll make more funds acquiring the gold and having it on their sheet, on their balance sheet, because it looks good on their balance sheet. So why would they short gold at that particular point? It'd be suicide. So that's going to impact how the bots manipulate the gold markets. So all these things come back to impact the fiscal budget laws, because our budget laws are set in platinum, gold, and silver pricing, mainly gold and silver, and potentially now copper. So the dynamics the Imperial Council have to wrestle with in the service of all of you as the Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals, because this is how we provide fiscal responsibility, our operations planning, our missions, and everything that we do. We know we have to deal with the financial component of it. And this is all relative to how we decide things tactically and strategically along that continuum. So that's the best way I know to answer what you've asked me to speak on. Do you have any follow-on questions for me? And so I'm happy to answer them one by one. Islam.
No further questions at this particular juncture, but I am very grateful for the additional insight, and I'm sure the rest of the Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals as well. So once again, we thank you for taking the time to answer all these questions. So thank you.
Islam, we have those that call themselves Pan-Africanists. They have no concept of what I'm talking about as a rule. A lot of our kith and kindred from various houses, I won't call them out like that. They know who they are. You know who I'm talking about. They don't have to deal with any of these things. They're not even equipped to have particular things. Most of our kith and kindred are playing someone else's game and about to play their digital game with their crypto nonsense. So not realizing the crypto nonsense is temporary, because they're going to wipe all that out. And they're pushing their one quote-unquote world currency. And It's already in circulation, and they're going to eliminate all the competition. There won't be a whole lot of cryptos. They're going to wipe all those out. Not going to be digital currency. It's going to be one. That has nothing to do with us, and we don't care. But for those who contract into that nonsense, which is most of our kith and kindred, the AES is now issuing out digital IDs. Why do you think that is? And the Sahel, why are they doing that? This didn't start yesterday. This started in so-called 92 Roman calendar. And in so-called 98 Roman calendar, they had a meeting. If you are a signatory unto the UN, your population must have a birth certificate. This is the precursor that's going to allow them to make their move for their one world government scenario with their one world currency scenario. And that single currency is controlled by those who are going to be controlling the microchips that they're embedding in folks who are their franchisees that contract into that nonsense. We provide them with a way out because we don't have anything to do with any of that. We have a global system that we built on our own to give our folks an option not to participate in the modern day global Babylon system, not to take the mark of the beast called that microchip. Do you have any idea how much silver is going to be needed for all the server farms that's being built? You're talking about, you can't go 160 feet without being on 17. If you're in a city or urban area, you can't go 160 feet without going and being seen on 17 different cameras. 17 for every 160 feet. The surveillance is part of the digital handcuffs that's coming. AI is going to be taking over everything. There'll be no quote-unquote jobs as a result. So if you are a franchisee of a franchise that's a signatory unto the UN Charter, well, this is what they're going to do for you. You're going to be given a monthly allotment that in digital tokens that expire so you can't save. You will own nothing and you'll like it, is what you were told to your faces by the international banksters that's doing all this. So they're saying, no, you will not have any savings. Digital tokens expire, so you spend them or you lose them. If you spend them on things that we don't want you to spend them on, we'll shut your microchip. If you protest or if you go to challenge anything that the system has to say or put in place, they will shut off your microchip. And without that microchip, you cannot buy, without that mark of the beast, you cannot buy or sell. And their system has nothing to do with ours. So those that choose to participate in that system are going to lose their piracy, their freedom, their liberty, and their rights. They'll be given a monthly allotment to survive on. And if they don't behave themselves, they will lose that. And they'll be put in re-education facilities or liquidated, which is a fancy way of saying they're going to be worm food. This is what folks are going to be contracting into, and they will break their necks to do it because they did not properly prepare. We have given the melanated heterosexuals across this planet an option not to do that. That is what we train, what we provide, that's what we make available. We can't make folks use it. We can't compel folks to participate. However, they're grown and they can make their own decisions. The information is out there, but most don't look at it. Give them sport and give them play. Give them cake. Give them circus. Give them reality shows. They just want to sit in their living room on their TV with their Xbox and be left alone. And the walls are closing in around them. The digital handcuffs and digital chains and the surveillance is literally knocking on the door about to punch them in the face. Now, I'm speaking in stark terms because sometimes the only way to get folks' undivided attention. What they do with it is now up to them. But they cannot say that they were not warned. They cannot say they were not told. It's up to them to investigate, contemplate, and discern upon what they come across when they investigate. And then act accordingly. If they don't know what they're doing, they can come with us. We'll train them to properly participate inside our jurisdiction and venue. And make the conduct and hostiles and this nonsense irrelevant in their lives. I'm going to leave that there, Honorable Bettina. Peace, love, and light in Islam.
Islam. Thank you, His Imperial Majesty. On behalf of the Moors Internet Televideo Network, myself, gratitude once again for all of your answers and insight into all these global events that are transpiring before our very eyes. So this is for those who have, eyes to see and ears to hear, to take heed and do whatever's necessary for their livelihood. So we say Islam regarding that. And to our wonderful audience, more information regarding the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional, imperial government operations down to the local level. Contact is available through the website that we influence, which is modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. That website, once again, modernmoormonarchy.squarespace.com. Please show us some love and positive comments, and do share this particular segment and any of the other ones that appeal to you, to all of those who you associate with. And until next time, on behalf of His Imperial Majesty and all of my fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals all across the planet, peace, great health, and prosperity upon all of you and upon all of us. Islam.